I don't know how much more I can take. I really don't know how much more I can take of this lady, man. She just doesn't get it. She just doesn't get it. Either you don't get it or this is just flat out intentional. Caitlin Clark broke a WNBA record, the fastest player in the history, 30-year history of the WNBA, the fastest player in the...
The drama surrounding the Indiana Fever franchise has officially reached an absolute boiling point, and the conversation has completely shifted from the action on the hardwood to the incredibly tense, highly scrutinized dynamics unfolding behind the closed doors of the locker room. When you have a generational talent reshaping the entire landscape of professional basketball, every single interaction, every single quote, and every single post-game celebration is analyzed under a microscopic lens by millions of fans worldwide. And what just transpired in the wake of yet another historic, record-shattering performance has the entire sports internet in an absolute uproar. We are witnessing a situation where the undeniable greatness of a player is seemingly clashing with the internal culture of her own organization. Welcome back to WNBA Log, your premier destination for the most authentic, hard-hitting, and unfiltered women's basketball analysis on the internet. If you want the real story behind the viral clips and the box scores, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and ring that notification bell right now. The narrative surrounding this team is evolving by the second, and we are breaking down every single angle of this unprecedented situation. To fully grasp the magnitude of the current controversy, we first have to acknowledge the sheer, undeniable, historic weight of what just happened on the basketball court. Caitlin Clark has officially rewritten the WNBA record books once again. In a league that boasts a rich 30-year history filled with legendary point guards, iconic floor generals, and Hall of Fame playmakers, Caitlin Clark has just done something that absolutely nobody else has ever been able to accomplish. She has officially become the fastest player in the entire history of the WNBA to reach the monumental milestone of 600 career assists.
The history of all of the WNBA's time to reach 600 assists. She did it in just 72 games, guys. Do you think Stephanie White congratulated her on breaking a record? Do you think, but before we get into it, do you think so? You're right. She absolutely did not, and people are not happy about it.
She achieved this breathtaking feat in just 72 professional games. Let that statistic wash over you for a moment. 600 assists in 72 games. That requires a level of basketball IQ, court vision, and elite processing speed that is simply unmatched in the modern era. When a player breaks an all-time league record, especially one that speaks directly to unselfishness and elevating the players around them, the standard expectation is a massive, unified celebration. You expect the confetti to fall, the teammates to swarm, and the coaching staff to deliver a resounding, public acknowledgement of the historic achievement. But when the Indiana Fever retreated to the locker room following their hard-fought victory over the Las Vegas Aces, the atmosphere was shockingly different, and the footage that was released to the public has sent shockwaves through the entire fan base. The organization released a video of head coach Stephanie White delivering her standard post-game address to the team. She stood in the center of the room, holding the stat sheet, and began breaking down the critical elements of the victory.
Yo, great win. Our effort, after we withstood that first run to start the third, it was 11-2, all right? And then the last 2 minutes of the third and the first 2 minutes of the fourth, we went on our own 16-2 run. They only shot 6 free throws in the second half. At the end of the third, they had 9 offensive rebounds. What did we say we wanted to hold them to? Single digits. They ended with 9.
Look at Caitlin Clark. Get this minutes restriction off me.
Coach White praised the team's collective effort, specifically highlighting their resilience after withstanding a massive run by the Aces at the start of the third quarter. She pointed out the incredible 16-2 run that the Fever orchestrated to reclaim the momentum, and she praised the defensive unit for locking down the paint and holding Las Vegas to just single-digit offensive rebounds. All of this is standard, excellent coaching rhetoric. You want your leader to highlight the tactical victories that led to the win. But as the speech continued, the fans were waiting on the edge of their seats for the inevitable shout-out to the rookie point guard who had just made league history. They waited for the moment where the coach would hold up the game ball, look at Caitlin Clark, and congratulate her on becoming the fastest player to ever dish out 600 assists. But that moment never came. Instead, the acknowledgement of Clark's presence was incredibly brief and overwhelmingly casual. Coach White listed off the fact that the team had 6 players scoring in double figures, and then she simply looked over at her point guard and said, "Welcome back, baby." That was it. A simple welcome back.
I'm going to refuse to give her credit and congratulate her on breaking a record.
6 players in double figures. Ball. See, welcome back, baby. Yeah.
That's all I get, huh? A welcome back. Welcome back. I played 2 days ago. Y'all set me out the day after you played me 15 minutes. What do you mean, a welcome back? Because I got to play 9 more minutes today? How about congratulations on breaking a record 600 assists?
This specific, fleeting interaction has ignited an absolute firestorm of speculative, fan-attributed questions across every corner of the internet. The silence regarding the historic milestone was deafening, and analysts across social media are actively questioning the underlying dynamics of this coaching staff. Fans are looking at this footage and openly wondering if there is a fundamental disconnect in how individual milestones are managed and celebrated within this specific roster. The incredibly passionate spectator base is posing tough questions, asking if this apparent omission was simply a genuine oversight in the heat of a post-game breakdown, or if it points to a more complex struggle to balance the massive gravitational pull of a generational superstar with the collective identity of the team. When a player breaks a 30-year-old league record, and the primary response from the leadership is a casual welcome back, the community is naturally going to heavily scrutinize the internal culture of the organization. What has amplified this fan speculation to an entirely new level is the glaring historical contrast in how other players on this exact same roster have been celebrated. The internet never forgets, and fans immediately began pulling up archival footage of previous locker room celebrations to highlight the perceived discrepancy. When Kelsey Mitchell, who is an absolutely phenomenal cornerstone player for this franchise, recently broke a major organizational record, the reaction from the coaching staff was incredibly vibrant and overwhelmingly celebratory.
Now, do y'all remember when Kelsey Mitchell broke her record? Y'all remember when Kelsey Mitchell broke her record? The Stephanie White, oh, Kelsey Mitchell! None of that for Caitlin. None of that. Insane. I don't even think, I don't think you can be this, not smart. I think this is being done on purpose. We got to get to this article here, courtesy of Yahoo Sports. Caitlin Clark shows discontent over officiating.
The coaching staff made sure that Kelsey Mitchell received her absolute flowers in front of the entire team. She was showered with praise, the moment was highly elevated, and the entire locker room rallied around her historic achievement. And to be completely clear, Mitchell fully deserved every single ounce of that celebration. She has poured her heart and soul into the Indiana Fever franchise for years. But the fans are pointing directly to that exact celebration and asking why that same level of enthusiastic, organizational acknowledgement is not being extended to Caitlin Clark when she shatters all-time WNBA records. This is not the first time this specific issue has been raised. Fans are quick to remember that when Clark and Aaliyah Boston became the first duo in WNBA history to record a 32-point double-double in the same game, the post-game celebration regarding that specific historic milestone was also noticeably absent from the coaching staff's address. These repeated instances are fueling massive, speculative debates about whether the coaching staff is intentionally attempting to minimize individual accolades to promote a collective mindset, or if they are simply failing to read the room when it comes to acknowledging historic greatness. But the post-game locker room drama was not the only highly debated incident from this matchup against the Las Vegas Aces. The on-court action was incredibly physical, highly intense, and featured a terrifying sequence that has generated a massive amount of community concern regarding player safety. Late in the second quarter, the intensity reached an absolute boiling point during a defensive possession involving veteran point guard Chelsea Gray. As Clark attempted to defend Gray on a drive to the basket, the two players made incredibly heavy physical contact. Right as Gray elevated to take the shot, Clark was sent crashing violently to the hardwood.
From making the basket, the two players made contact, and right as the Aces star took the shot, Clark went down, prompting a review from the refs. Clark, down after contact with Chelsea Gray, pops up and is not happy with the foul call. Now play is being reviewed for a hostile act after the whistle, WNBA beat writer Tony East wrote and posting a clip. It says Becky Hammon looked baffled as the officials went to the screen. Hammon even argued her case with the officials, but they looked into the foul regardless. As the officials reviewed the sequence, Clark stayed down, holding her back, and fans feared the worst.
The impact was severe enough that Clark remained on the floor, visibly shaken and holding her back, which immediately brought the entire arena to a dead, anxious silence. The officiating crew immediately halted the game and went to the replay monitors to review the sequence for a potential hostile act. The broadcast captured Las Vegas head coach Becky Hammon looking completely baffled by the review, even actively arguing her case with the officials on the sideline. However, after reviewing the footage, the referees ultimately determined that the contact only warranted a common foul on Clark. When Clark finally got to her feet, she was visibly frustrated with the decision, immediately protesting the call and adamantly stating to the officials that it was not a foul.
Suspended for 1 game. Clark's fitness also remains a concern for the Fever after she missed 2 games because of the back injury she picked up June 24th versus the Mercury. Here it says, oftentimes, when you're coming back from injury, fatigue is also a factor, and building endurance is also a factor. When you're fatigued, you have a tendency to get hurt. I do think it's just being cautious, Stephanie White told the media Saturday and clarified Clark would have been restricted to 25 minutes. So there was that bang-bang play between Caitlin Clark and Chelsea Gray. But, you know, it ended up not being too much of anything. Thank you. It wasn't too much of anything. Clark wasn't. Caitlin not injured. Chelsea Gray didn't.
Before the situation could escalate any further, Coach Stephanie White quickly intervened, stepping onto the floor to guide her frustrated point guard back to the bench. This was a highly necessary intervention from a purely strategic standpoint. Clark has been playing with an incredible amount of passion and fire this season, which has resulted in her accumulating 5 technical fouls. In the WNBA, reaching the technical foul limit triggers an automatic 1-game suspension, and the Indiana Fever absolutely cannot afford to lose their primary offensive engine for any reason. White's decision to de-escalate the situation and pull Clark away from the officials was a veteran coaching move to protect the team's immediate future on the court. However, the sheer force of that collision with Chelsea Gray has reignited a massive, ongoing conversation regarding Caitlin Clark's long-term athletic physical status. The fan base is incredibly protective of their superstar, and the community concern surrounding her overall athletic longevity is currently at an all-time high. Earlier this summer, Clark was forced to miss critical game time to manage the long-term athletic effects of her highly demanding, incredibly physical schedule. The transition from a grueling collegiate season straight into the relentless physicality of the professional ranks requires an immense amount of physical management. To protect her long-term athletic physical status, the Indiana Fever coaching staff and medical personnel have implemented a strict minutes restriction, limiting her to a maximum of 25 minutes per game. This minutes restriction is an active, ongoing point of contention among the fan base, but it is deeply rooted in objective physical management. When an athlete is logging historic usage rates, carrying the primary playmaking burden, and constantly absorbing heavy physical contact from veteran defenders, fatigue becomes a massive, undeniable factor. The coaching staff has been very clear with the media that they are being highly cautious. They understand that pushing an athlete past their physical limits greatly increases the risk of long-term physical setbacks. The minutes restriction is designed to ensure that she remains a dominant force in this league for the next decade, rather than burning her out in her rookie campaign. But when you combine the physical concerns, the minutes restriction, the heavy on-court collisions, and the highly debated locker room interactions, you are left with a fan base that is completely on edge. The supporters are desperately looking for cohesion, celebration, and absolute unity from this franchise. They want to see their superstar protected by the officials on the floor, and they want to see her historic accomplishments loudly and proudly celebrated by her coaches in the locker room. When Caitlin Clark sets a record that has stood unbroken for 30 years of WNBA basketball, the fans expect more than just a passing welcome back. The Indiana Fever are currently navigating one of the most complex, highly scrutinized environments in the history of professional sports. They have a roster loaded with incredible talent, they have the most popular player on the planet commanding the offense, and they have an entire global audience dissecting their every single move. As this season progresses, the microscope is only going to zoom in closer. Will the coaching staff adjust their approach to celebrating individual milestones in response to this massive public outcry? Are analysts correct in questioning the internal dynamics, or is this simply a storm in a teacup fueled by passionate fans demanding perfection? And most importantly, how will the team continue to manage the intense physical demands placed on their franchise cornerstone? We are going to be tracking every single one of these storylines with relentless dedication. I want to hear exactly what you guys think about this entire situation. Get down into the comment section right now and give me your absolute most honest takes. Do you think the fan speculation regarding Stephanie White's locker room speech is completely justified, or are people making a massive deal out of a standard post-game breakdown? How do you feel about the physical contact on that Chelsea Gray play, and do you agree with the team's decision to strictly manage Clark's long-term athletic physical status with a minutes restriction? Make sure you smash that subscribe button to stay locked in with WNBA Pro. Hit that like button to keep the vision alive, and I will see you on the next massive breakdown.